If you played Suikoden II, you will not have forgotten this classic and shocking scene. Prince Luca Blight lays waste to a series of villages in his war of conquest. When he reaches the village of Ryub, he doesn't just ransack and burn it down, he turns the attack into a personal entertainment. A terrified villager is forced to humiliate herself and act like a pig in exchange for her life. Having stripped this citizen of her very humanity for his own sick pleasure, Luca immediately rescinds his promise and with a howl of "Die, pig!" brutally takes her life. The visceral and theatrical nature of the scene has solidified the Mad Prince as one of the most brutal and unforgettable villains in gaming. However, there is one early detail in the game during Luca's reign of terror that you may not remember. It reframes how his story comes to an end, and it's easy to forget because at the time it seems completely unimportant, and yet through it, the people Luca destroyed, like the character of Pilica, get their justice. Earlier in the game, the party encounters a resident of Todo Village, a young girl by the name of Pilica, and her parents, Joanne and Marx. The player character's best friend Joey explains that Pilica had previously helped nurse him back to health, and they had formed something close to an older brother-younger sister relationship. Having been invited back to Pilica's family home, the party is welcomed and shown kindness. Pilica then privately tasks the player to take her secret savings and go to the neighbouring city of Muse. She wants to buy her father a birthday present and had seen a wooden amulet on a recent visit that she thinks he would like. This quietly establishes an unassuming scene, a peaceful and happy family in a quiet town, untouched by the oncoming war. Agreeing to the task, the party sets off to Muse, in search of the amulet described as being adorned with stars and fish. Upon arrival, the party discovers that Pilica's savings are not enough to buy the amulet, but in a turn of kindness towards an innocent young girl and her family, Ryu agrees to pay for the amulet, and the party set back on their course for Todo Village. Upon reaching their destination to complete what seems to be no more than a common fetch quest, the party finds that tragedy has befallen. The town has been burned to the ground. Every household, including the one that had shown them such kindness, has been destroyed. Having hidden herself away during the attack, we find that Pilica, the young girl from before, is the sole survivor, having quietly witnessed the murder of her parents and the destruction of her village. In the aftermath, we also meet strategist Apple, who unravels the mystery, revealing that the Mad Prince Luca Blight of Highland was behind the attack, and that he's heading right for the party's mercenary fortress headquarters. In the chaos of this moment, which induces a state of shock, awe and urgency, something small is left behind in our memory. The errand to Muse and Pilica's wooden amulet. And it isn't mentioned again for a long time. Although Luca commits many larger atrocities throughout the story, like unleashing the beast rune on the city of Muse, he still wasn't done inflicting terror on a young girl. Successfully winning the battle for the mercenary fortress, Luca makes his way to the command room where Pole is looking after her. Luca murders him right in front of her eyes, only to follow up by trying to kill her as well. Ryu and Joey barely manage to save her life before being overpowered themselves, but the damage has already been done. Having now watched her family, her village, and her friends attacked and destroyed at the hands of the Mad Prince, he has taken one final thing from her: her voice. Having now been utterly and completely traumatized, she finds herself unable to speak, completely unresponsive, in a last defense mechanism against what she's had to endure. From this point on, the war rapidly accelerates. There are triumphs and tragedies, befriendings and betrayals. With Luca at the heart of it, the war expands and the stakes rise, pushing towards the next moment that everyone remembers, when it takes an entire army and a stroke of genius subterfuge from strategist Shu to finally bring Luca's tyranny to its end. Acting on intelligence gained by General Ridley, Shu sets up an ambush to finally ensnare and kill Luca Blight. Instructing that there must be no lights or torches used during the ambush, we lie in wait at nighttime for the Highland Army's advance. With the entire Liberation Army in tow, the trap is sprung. A hail of arrows rains down upon Luca's personal guards. Luca is stricken many times himself, yet continues to fight with his inhuman strength. Facing down not one, not two, but 3 parties of Ryu's closest allies, and still he doesn't succumb. Injured and retreating from the overwhelming numbers, he finds himself coming across a tree in the night. A shining object in the black hangs from the tree. Drawn as if by fate, he opens it, scattering fireflies into the night. It's the signal that Shu has been waiting for, the crux of his plan, Pilica's wooden amulet. A forgotten token of her life before it was cruelly destroyed, the last connection she has to her parents. In a poetic act of revenge on behalf of the young girl who has endured so much pain at the hands of the prince, Shu has made it an integral part to the end of his cruel reign. The fireflies shining in the night against the golden armour of the prince signal to the archers lying in wait to loose a final volley of arrows, which begins the duel against Ryu, who takes the prince's life. Much is said about how it took an entire army, several arrows, 18 of the best fighters, the world's greatest strategist, and the owner of a true rune to finally kill Luca Blight, but not nearly enough has been said about how his cruelty towards one kind and innocent girl came full circle at the moment of his death. On the surface, it's Shu's genius-level strategic skills that outmaneuver the Highland army, but more observant players will see the elegant joke that only Shu and we will understand. Luca's most personal and most small-scale act of cruelty against one young girl has called back during his final moments. Truly some of Yoshitaka Murayama's finest writing. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video if you did. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving it a like, and for more lore videos and others besides, you can subscribe to the channel below. See you in the next one.